Hello, witches. Thank you very much for coming onto this live broadcast. May you be watching it live or watching the replay. You need to get this word. You need to get this word about love spells before you do them. You need to get this word before you do love spells. Love spells are hard to do. Love spells are hard to do because there are real feelings and real emotions involved in all parties involved. Love spells are hard to do. They are not easy to pull off. They're not. You can't do a love spell on someone who has clearly said to you, to your face, that they hate your guts. You can't do a love spell on somebody because some witches do this if they have a restraining order against you. It won't work. You can't do a love spell on an ex. They're not coming back. There is no hope. There is no maybe. You know those people who comment in your comments when you make a post saying, oh, contact me, or they say something like this, oh, I contacted this voodoo priest or priestess and they brought my husband back in a week. That's a scam. It's not real. Your ex is not coming back. He or she is finished with you. That's it. That's it. Before you do a love spell, you need to watch this broadcast, rewatch it, and share it with any witch who is constantly over and over again doing love spell. And that is, are you doing a love spell or you're just doing a booty call? Are you doing a love spell or you're just doing a booty call? Do you want love or do you want a one-night stand? Do you want a long-term commitment or do you just want a booty call? Do you just love eating pussy and sucking dick, but don't actually want to be in a relationship? Now listen, there's nothing wrong with eating pussy and sucking dick. I love sucking dick, okay? That's my confession to you. I love sucking dick. But I would prefer, me personally, I would prefer to do a love spell so that the man that I summon has good dick, so I don't have to look for it elsewhere. The same for you if you happen to love eating pussy. Summon a woman with the intent to have good pussy so you don't have to go elsewhere to find pussy. Before you do a love spell, you have to watch this broadcast. Are you doing a love spell for a long-term commitment, possibly marriage that leads to a happily ever after, or you just want a one-night stand? Now listen, witches, there's nothing wrong with having a one-night stand. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not a slut. You're not a whore. You're not a prostitute. Matter of fact, prostitution is the oldest form of employment. Let me say this. Prostitution is sex work. Sex work is work. That might shock some of you witches that are conservative, but it's the truth. Prostitution is the longest form of employment ever. And men can also be prostitutes. Oh yes, a man can be a prostitute. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not just women. It's not just trans women. Men can be prostitutes also. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Don't shake your head. Yes, men can be prostitutes. That's a fact. It's not just women. It is not just women. Men can also be prostitutes. When you do a love spell, you have to be really, 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 really into the details of what you want in a partner. Do you want a man or a woman that is committed to you? Just to you now. Do you want a man or a woman who is not married? I hope you do. I hope you're not a home wrecker or a whore breaking up a happy family. Can I say it like that? Oh, yeah, I can actually. I can't say it like that. You want a partner that is faithful, that will be committed to you and only you, not having side chicks, men or women, on the side. I'm not talking about body count. Who cares how many men or women you have had sex with? Who cares? And guess what, which is, it's nobody's business what your body count is. It's nobody's business. It's literally nobody's business, because guess what? You can't take it back. You can't take back the amount of men or women that you have slept with. You can't take it back. And a lot of times, women are condemned if they have had more than 2 partners. But yet it's okay for a man to have 10 or 15 women. A woman can also have 10 or 15 men and not be a whore, not be a slut. Get that in your system. That's actually true. That is true. Now, if you are doing a love spell just for a one-night stand, so then you decide, you write down in your spell what you want that man or woman, how you want them to perform when you have sex. What size of their dick do you want them to be? How wet do you want their pussy to be? Do you want their pussy to be tight? Do you want the man's balls to be hanging so it slaps against the opening of your pussy? Yes, these are questions that have to be answered before you do that love spell. Because if you do a love spell for a one-night stand, you might end up with a man who wants a long-term commitment, and that's not what you want. So you end up breaking that man's heart, because you were not in the details enough before you did that love spell. If you do a spell for a man or woman for long-term commitment, and you are not in the details of that person being faithful to you, you might end up with a man or woman who is sleeping with other women or men on the side. You have to get into the details of what you want that man or that woman to be. You have to. It's a lot of work, which is to do love spells. It's a lot of work to do love spells, because it requires to leave the house. Mr. or Mrs. Right is not going to break into your house. You actually have to leave the house to find a mate or a partner. You know, mate you would call a one-night stand. A partner you would call long-term commitment. Before you do a love spell, you have to think, do you want a long-term committed partner, or do you want a booty call? There's nothing wrong with a booty call. There's nothing wrong with having a committed person, but you have to get into the details. Put that in the spell before you perform it. Put that in the spell before you perform it. What kind of person do you want? Because that's exactly what you're going to get. You want a partner who is not going to be abusive. You want a partner that is not a registered sex offender. You want a partner who is not a rapist, a child rapist, someone who has warrants out for their arrest. You want to get into the details. It's going to be a long spell when you write it out. It's going to be a long spell, but you write down the person that you want as though they are standing right there in front of you. So you say something along these lines. My man, for those who want a committed relationship, my man or woman is faithful to me. He's loyal to me. We have a beautiful marriage. We have beautiful children, and we live happily ever after. Now, if you want a one-night stand, a booty call, you say man or woman, but in my case, I'm going to talk about a man. I have a man with a big dick. He performs well in bed. He eats pussy well. And it's a night that I remember forever. Why I say a night? Because you're never going to see that man or woman again if you have a one-night stand or, a booty call. Get into the details. What do you want that man or woman to look like? You don't want to have, sex with somebody who should probably have a brown paper bag over their head. That's the truth. Especially if you are looking for a committed partner, because if you're doing a love spell for a committed partner, most likely you want it to develop into marriage. So you have to think, what am my children going to look like? Because listen, not all babies are cute. Some people say that to be polite, but not all babies are cute. Now, if you are doing a one-night stand and you get pregnant, it's easy to have an abortion because you're never going to see that man again anyway. He's not going to take responsibility. And of course, if you are going to have a one-night stand, you should be on birth control and wearing a condom. They do make female condoms. Make sure that man wears a condom if it's just a booty call. If it is a booty call, make sure that man wears a condom. Hell, like I just said, they have female condoms. They only take maybe about 2 minutes to put on. Get into the details of your love spell before you cast them. You know how many people, I say witches, do love spells and they do it for a committed relationship, then become divorced. They got divorced because they did not get into the details of the love spell before they performed it. That's why I always say the problem with love spells is that they work. They work exactly as you intended them to work. You would never do a love spell after you have gotten your hearts broken, after you have just broken up with your boyfriend or girlfriend or just got divorced. That's the worst possible time to do a love spell, either for a committed relationship or a booty call, because your heart needs time to heal. Because your heart needs time to heal. You can't jump into a relationship right after breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend or getting a divorce. That love spell is going to blow up in your face. It's not going to work as you intended because you're still yearning. You may still be hurting from your ex. What you need to do is go to your chosen God or goddess and ask them to heal your heart, to put the pieces of your heart back together so that they can give you the green light to do a love spell for a committed partner or a one-night stand. That's it. You have to think long and hard. You're not overthinking it. Like I said earlier, when you write out that love spell, it's going to be a long piece of paper. It's not going to be written on a post-it. It's going to be written out on a long piece of paper because you have to get into the details of what you want your partner to be. Committed relationship or a booty call. You have to get into the details. You have to get into the details. You have to. Failure to get into the details of that love spell will result in absolute failure. And then you'll find yourself doing the same love spell over and over again, not learn anything. Not learn anything. But that won't be you after this broadcast has come to a close. That will not be you. Before you do a love spell, decide what type of love spell you're doing. Is it for a serious, committed relationship to live happily ever after? Or is just a one-night stand? It's just a booty call. You have to make a decision. It can't be both. Let me just tell you that. It cannot be both. It cannot be both. It will never be both. It's either, it's one or the other. It's one or the other. It cannot be both. It cannot be both. You have to make a choice. If you're ready for marriage, then do a love spell targeting that. If you just want to enjoy yourself, enjoy the single life with no commitments, then go ahead and do a spell for a one-night stand. When you do a love spell for a one-night stand, understand this. You're not going to see that man or woman again. It's just for one night. When you do a spell for a committed relationship, you want that person in your life for the rest of your life. That person most likely will be your soulmate. So choose wisely. Choose very wisely. Don't just jump on the nearest dick. Don't just dive into the latest pussy. Choose wisely. Don't get caught up in sex. There's nothing wrong with sex, but there's something very wrong when a witch has a broken heart because they did not view this video before doing that love spell. And I had to come on here tonight on a Saturday and talk about this. Really drill it into you witches before you do a love spell. You have to make a decision before you do a love spell. Is it for a committed relationship or is it for a booty call? It cannot be both. It cannot be both. So thank you, witches, for joining me for this quick live pop-up broadcast. Of course, share this broadcast, please, 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 on your other social media platforms. Share this broadcast in your stories. Tell your friends who may be interested in doing a love spell that they need to watch this broadcast before performing a love spell. They need to watch this broadcast before doing a love spell. They need to. Every witch should watch this broadcast before doing a love spell. Every witch. So thank you, witches, once again for joining me. And now I release you into the rest of your evening. Bye, everyone.